All right, guys, what's going on? Welcome in. So in this one, I really wanted to ask the question and really bring up the topic because it's important, right? I hate to be asking this question. I didn't think we would be asking this question when the Jets originally drafted this player, second overall in the NFL draft just a couple of seasons ago. But do you think Zach Wilson cements himself as the team's QB2 during this training camp period? As Jets fans, we've seen so many players miss time on this squad, whether you want to talk about last season at the quarterback position, where we saw 4 different ones, Zach Wilson missing time his rookie season, during the entire Sam Darnold era. Darnold was hurt on multiple occasions, spanning over multiple years. Josh McCown, there was a lot of injuries at the quarterback position. Throw in the reputation of MetLife Stadium to other coaches and other players around the league. But this isn't just a Jets problem, right? Yes, they've had their more than their fair share of injuries, but if you look across the NFL, I mean, man, quarterback 2, QB2, the backup quarterback position is absolutely massive in this day and age. Last season, we saw a record 64 quarterbacks start games, not just appear in for a snap. Oh, I got to come in and take a knee. Start games, 64 quarterbacks. We saw some big name quarterbacks get hurt, right? Matt Stafford missed a ton of time. Kyler Murray, Lamar Jackson, Dak Prescott. There were rumors that, even though some quarterbacks didn't necessarily miss time, that they were beat up and were dealing with things. Josh Allen, there were rumors that he was beat up down the stretch. Aaron Rodgers with the broken thumb, but he, of course, participated in every game. Started in every game, rather. I mean, this is crazy. So, in other words, the Jets have to be 1,000% confident in the backup quarterback situation. And it's not just the Jets. Every team has to feel confident in their backup to not only just, hey, get a spot start every now and again, but can this guy step in on multiple occasions, multiple weeks? Can he string along weeks of potential winning football? Does he give the team a chance to win? Or is the team in a situation like the Jets were a couple years ago with like a guy like Luke Falk at the helm, where it was just like, man, can the Jets score 7 today? I know it sounds a little to the point, but that, I remember watching those games going into it. It's just like the defense is going to have to do everything. So when we look at the Jets' current setup, of course, we got Aaron Rodgers, but behind him, Tim Boyle, Zach Wilson, and the team did bring back Chris Streveler. I think what the organization is hoping for is that Zach takes a leap and cements himself as that second quarterback, no questions asked. I don't necessarily think that there's 1,000% full belief in Zach Wilson from every single member of the organization. This also trickles down to the coaching staff. If there was, if what we saw last season, if there weren't concerns about some of the whatever it might have been, right? A missed throw here, how he's processing things, how he's handling himself in an interview after a game. I think if there was full belief in that, they would not have went out and signed Tim Boyle. I think that was the right move. It's not to say that there's, that the organization lost all belief in him. There were some rumors in the offseason, but the Jets didn't part ways with him. There were rumors that they could have traded him. They hung on to him. And looking at how this offseason has kind of transpired, I think right now the message being sent to Zach is, hey, we still like you. We drafted you second overall for a reason. We really like what you could be one day. We've seen some flashes. We want to continue working with you. But hey, Aaron Rodgers is the starter, obviously. We're bringing in Tim Boyle. We're bringing back Chris Streveler. You have to earn it. You have to earn the quarterback 2 spot. Because I don't think the Jets right now are in a position where if Zach Wilson is going out there and just having ugly practices in training camp in a couple of weeks here, and Tim Boyle's looking solid, he's looking above average, he's getting in the end zone, he's distributing the football, guys are responding to him, and obviously he picks up the offense while working with Hackett. I would not be surprised to see the Jets roll with 3 quarterbacks on the roster and say Boyle's the number 2. If there's that checked out kind of feel when working with Zach. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but I think if that's the case, if we cannot look competent as an offense with Wilson at the helm, I don't know how long of a leash he has in being the guaranteed number 2 guy. I think the Jets, given the circumstances, given what the team has done this offseason, shifting fully into win now, the short Super Bowl window, I think the Jets would say, you know what, we're going to play it safe. We're not going to be sorry. We saw that last season, swapping in Mike White, right? So this is going to be a massive couple months, or really just a month and a half, looking at the end of July and the month of August for Zach to really push himself ahead, get ahead of the pack, and say, no, I'm going to be the backup of this football team. The team has trust in me. But here's the deal. I actually think there's a lot working in Zach's favor here. I do think he can do it. I do think he is going to be the backup for this football team. Here are the reasons why. When we compare this situation to last season, this situation to his rookie year, I think there's a lot going for him. Number one, more weapons around him. That's really the bottom line. Mecole Hardman, Allen Lazard, Garrett Wilson going into year 2. You look at the tight end room, Ruckert emerging onto the scene, Tyler Conklin, Uzama. We know what we're going to get from those guys. Running back position, tons of depth there, potentially adding Dalvin Cook. We know he's going to have a good defense to fall back on as well. So when we look at the personnel from a talent standpoint, it's pretty much all there. This is definitely going to be the best team that he's worked with since being an NFL pro. Secondly, and this one's super obvious, but there's more veterans. The veteran presence is around Zach. What was one of the biggest issues that I had with the Jets his rookie year? There wasn't that veteran presence in the offensive room. It wasn't until halfway into the season where the team, Joe Douglas, traded away a late round pick for Joe Flacco. We go into training camp. We go into mini camp, training camp, preseason. There's no veteran quarterback on the roster. Mike LaFleur has never called plays before. He's never installed an offense before. He's never developed a rookie quarterback before. He's doing all these things on the fly. Saleh doesn't really have that much offensive input. So all of a sudden, we're looking around the room. First-time OC, first-time play caller. Not in the quarterback room alone, not one single start. Yeah, Mike White had some preseason snaps, but that's not, 3 years of NFL experience. There's really not a lot to, I don't want to say not a lot to learn from each other, but just from an NFL experience standpoint, from an NFL knowledge standpoint, the list isn't that long. We don't have 10 combined years, 20 combined years of experience of doing what we're asked to be doing now. So I think when we look at the roster today, we have guys like Randall Cobb, Allen Lazard, Mecole Hardman. Granted, Hardman and Lazard aren't these 35-year-olds, but they've been around the game long enough. They've been a part of so many wins. They've been a part of so many playoff appearances that they know what it takes. They know what it looks like, right? Hardman all of a sudden is coming into the Jets locker room, in my opinion, should be one of the leaders. He's coming over from Kansas City, a freaking dominant offense, right? I think he's one of the more underrated, not amongst Jets fans, but mainstream media wise. I think he's one of the more underrated players that this Jets squad has. But I digress. We can talk about Aaron Rodgers being in Zach Wilson's ear, actually wanting him to do well, hopefully taking over the reins if all goes well once Rodgers calls it quits, right? Once he retires, now all of a sudden Zach, his guy, can step in. I think that's going to be huge. We listened to Jordan Love talk about Aaron Rodgers, nothing but good things to say. And vice versa, with Rodgers talking about Love, I don't think there's going to be this weird Joe Flacco, Lamar Jackson situation that we saw in Baltimore. Not in the slightest. Not in the slightest. And then that also, the veteran point, trickles into the offensive coordinator position with Nathaniel Hackett. Not only is Hackett more experienced than LaFleur as a play caller, working with Rodgers before, that's another incredible point that we have to bring up. Zach is now working with somebody who is completely different from LaFleur, right? You listen to how players talk about Hackett across the league, maybe not so much in Denver, but, in the other destinations and, the other players that he's worked with, people speak highly of him. He knows how to talk to players. He knows how to get to players, right? He can build relationships, the mental side of him. He prepares really, really well. And I know Denver was a complete disaster, but you have to ask the question, how did he become the head coach with the Broncos in the first place? There has to be something there. He had a really, really nice resume backing it up, or backing him up. So that mixed with what Rodgers has had to say about Hackett, I do think Zach working all of a sudden with a new guy, a new coordinator here, a new play caller, a new game planner is going to be very beneficial. It's just a change of scenery. Just how it's the same situation with Mike LaFleur, right? I mean, to accept an offensive coordinator job, and he's tasked with, all right, well, we have to develop a rookie quarterback, and the two backups haven't seen an NFL snap, and your head coach is not Andy Reid. He's not a Zach Taylor. He's not, one of these top-end offensive guys. He's not really going to give you much. And we're looking at the roster. All right, we have a bunch of players hurt. We have inconsistencies on the O-line. Not a ton of offensive playmakers at that given point. He had a tough job to complete. So I think, LaFleur landing with the Rams is only going to benefit him because now he's working with McVay. Now he's around a veteran quarterback in Stafford. I'm hoping for nothing but the best for LaFleur with the LA Rams. But again, when I look at Zach Wilson, I think although these next couple weeks, this next month is going to be huge for him, I don't want to say make or break, but it kind of feels make or break. He does have a lot going in his favor. He does have a lot that he could fall back on. The weapons, the veterans, the new OC, having Rodgers in his ear. Who knows? Maybe the Jets do end up signing Dalvin Cook. Now all of a sudden you have one of the best running backs in football that you could hand the football off to. So let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. It's an interesting topic. I know nobody wants to think about quarterback 2, backup quarterbacks. We're in training camp. It should be, totally exciting, which it is. But looking at how the NFL has utilized the backup quarterback position over these past couple of seasons, but last season specifically, again, with the record 64 quarterbacks that took starts, it's insane. You have to have a surefire plan B at the position, because if you don't and something happens to the starter, the season goes down the toilet really, really quick. So anyway, thanks so much for watching. Let me know your thoughts. I'm pulling for Zach. I'm pulling for, Hackett to turn this offense around, turn the offense around. We definitely need it compared to last season. And I'm excited. I really, really am. So thanks a lot. And as always, go Jets.